Vince McMahon, the face of WWE for decades, has often been considered a genius in the world of professional wrestling. Under his leadership, WWE, formerly WWF, grew into a global powerhouse, creating iconic superstars like Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. McMahon's ability to build an empire, turning what was once a niche sport into a multi-billion-dollar entertainment business, is nothing short of remarkable. However, despite his business acumen and the success of WWE, Vince McMahon's legacy is also intertwined with a series of scandals and controversies that have been carefully covered up by both WWE and major media outlets, including Netflix. The dark secrets Vince McMahon and WWE tried to hide, Netflix's coverage of the chairman's controversial legacy. In January 2024, after a series of legal and personal controversies, Vince McMahon was forced to step down as the executive chairman of WWE's parent company, TK Group Holdings, a role he had aggressively fought to reclaim after resigning in 2022. McMahon's resignation came after a significant scandal involving multiple allegations of sexual misconduct, harassment, and other criminal activities. These shocking allegations revealed a dark side to McMahon's persona that many fans had never imagined could exist. While the Netflix documentary Mr. McMahon, produced by filmmaker Chris Smith and executive producer Bill Simmons, provides an in-depth look at McMahon's career and personal life, it also leaves many uncomfortable truths uncovered. In this article, we will explore the real story behind the man who made WWE a household name. We'll discuss the scandals that Netflix's documentary doesn't fully expose and examine how Vince McMahon used his immense power to manipulate, silence, and cover up his transgressions for decades. The rise of Vince McMahon and the creation of WWE. Vince McMahon was born into the world of professional wrestling. His father, Vincent J. McMahon, ran the Capital Wrestling Corporation, which would later become the WWF. Vince's ascension to the top of the wrestling world was both a natural progression and a product of his boundless ambition. In 1982, Vince McMahon took over the company from his father and began transforming the wrestling business. He launched national television programs, held large-scale events like WrestleMania, and brought wrestling into the mainstream, attracting millions of viewers worldwide. Under his leadership, WWE's global brand reached new heights, and McMahon became one of the most powerful men in entertainment. However, McMahon's rise to power was not without controversy. The very tactics that helped him build WWE into the dominant force it became were also the foundation for much of the scandalous behavior that would later define his legacy. McMahon was known to be an incredibly controlling figure, often using unethical business practices to maintain his grip on the company. The image he cultivated of a tough, no-nonsense businessman was more than just an on-screen persona. It was an embodiment of his real-life methods of control and manipulation. Despite the success of WWE, McMahon's reputation was marred by numerous legal issues, including a high-profile steroid abuse scandal in the early 1990s. In 1991, McMahon's company was caught up in a massive controversy involving the distribution of anabolic steroids to WWE wrestlers. In the wake of the scandal, McMahon faced a grand jury investigation and was eventually acquitted in 1994. While McMahon emerged from the scandal largely unscathed, it would be the beginning of a long history of allegations that would plague his career for years to come. Vince McMahon's rise to power, building WWE into a global empire. Vince McMahon's rise to power in WWE is a story of ambition, innovation, and controversy. When McMahon took over the company from his father, Vincent J. McMahon, in the early 1980s, it was a small regional wrestling promotion. Under Vince's leadership, WWE, then known as the World Wrestling Federation, or WWF, became a global phenomenon. McMahon revolutionized professional wrestling by taking it national, securing television deals, and hosting massive events like WrestleMania, which became the crown jewel of WWE's annual programming. The spectacle of WrestleMania, along with McMahon's larger-than-life persona as a villainous on-screen character, helped WWE rise to new heights. During the 1980s and 1990s, McMahon built WWE into a global entertainment brand that attracted mainstream attention. His creation of larger-than-life stars from Hulk Hogan to Stone Cold Steve Austin solidified WWE's place as the most prominent force in professional wrestling. However, behind the curtain, McMahon's ruthless pursuit of success led to numerous ethical questions, legal battles, and personal scandals that would later come to define his legacy. The steroid scandal, the beginning of McMahon's legal troubles. The first major scandal to tarnish McMahon's reputation occurred in 1991, when WWE was embroiled in the steroid abuse scandal. Dr. George Zahorian, a physician employed by WWE, was indicted for supplying anabolic steroids to WWE wrestlers. Zahorian's testimony during the trial revealed that many top WWE stars, including Hulk Hogan, Randy Macho Man Savage, and Ultimate Warrior, were using steroids to maintain their muscular physiques. McMahon was implicated in the scandal as well, as it was revealed that he had facilitated the distribution of these illegal substances to his talent. In 1994, McMahon was acquitted of all charges related to the steroid scandal, but the case had a lasting impact on his public image. While McMahon was cleared of any wrongdoing, the steroid allegations cast a shadow over the company's practices and raised questions about the health and safety of WWE wrestlers. Despite the legal victory, WWE's reputation was forever linked to the controversial use of performance-enhancing drugs, and the case marked the beginning of a series of legal and ethical challenges for McMahon. The Titan Gate scandal, turning a blind eye to sexual misconduct. By the early 1990s, WWE was also grappling with a different kind of scandal, sexual misconduct within the company. This issue would come to be known as Titan Gate, and it involved allegations of sexual harassment and abuse by several high-ranking WWE officials, including Pat Patterson, the head of wrestling operations, Terry Garvin, a top WWE official, and Mel Phillips, a ring announcer and crew chief. These allegations focused on the abuse of young male wrestlers by these powerful figures within the company. Vince McMahon was accused of turning a blind eye to the abuse, despite being aware of the incidents. In 1992, Rita Chatterton, a former WWE referee, came forward with accusations that McMahon had raped her in 1986. Chatterton claimed that McMahon had invited her to his limo and forced himself on her twice. When she tried to speak out about the incident, McMahon allegedly fired her, citing a company rule about not socializing with coworkers. Chatterton's case was eventually dropped, but the damage to McMahon's reputation was significant. The sexual misconduct allegations, combined with the steroid scandal, painted a troubling picture of McMahon's leadership. While McMahon vehemently denied the allegations and sued Chatterton for civil conspiracy, the accusations against him would continue to follow him throughout his career. Despite the allegations, McMahon's influence in the wrestling industry continued to grow, and WWE's global success helped shield him from the full repercussions of his actions. The Jimmy Snuka scandal, McMahon's involvement in a murder cover-up. One of the most disturbing scandals involving Vince McMahon centers around WWE Hall of Famer Jimmy Superfly Snuka. In 1983, Snuka was involved in the death of his girlfriend, Nancy Argentino. After an argument, Snuka allegedly assaulted Argentino, resulting in fatal head injuries. An autopsy revealed that Argentino had suffered multiple blunt force traumas to her head, suggesting that she had been beaten before her death. At the time of the incident, Snuka was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend, but no charges were filed in her death. McMahon, who had a vested interest in protecting his wrestlers, allegedly intervened in the investigation. McMahon reportedly spoke to Argentino's family and convinced them not to press charges against Snuka. The incident was swept under the rug, and Snuka's career continued unhindered. It wasn't until 2015, more than 30 years later, that Snuka was charged with third-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. The fact that McMahon intervened in the investigation and allowed Snuka to continue working for WWE, despite the serious allegations against him, is a stark example of McMahon's willingness to protect his stars at any cost. This cover-up reflects McMahon's disregard for moral responsibility in favor of maintaining the company's image and keeping its top talent on screen. Sexual misconduct allegations and settlements. McMahon's ongoing allegations fast forward to the 2000s, and McMahon's legacy continued to be clouded by allegations of sexual misconduct. In 2006, McMahon was accused of groping a tanning salon employee in Florida. The employee filed a police report claiming that McMahon showed her nude photos of himself and then forcibly touched her. McMahon denied the allegations, and the case quickly faded from the public eye. However, the resurfacing of the police report years later in 2018 revealed that officers believed there was probable cause to charge McMahon. In 2022, the most significant scandal of McMahon's career came to light when it was revealed that McMahon had paid $3 million to a former WWE paralegal to keep quiet about their sexual relationship. The woman, identified as Janelle Grant, claimed that McMahon had coerced her into a sexual relationship and used his power within WWE to control her personal and professional life. The investigation revealed that McMahon had not only used his influence to manipulate Grant, but had also sent explicit photos and videos of her to other WWE stars, including Brock Lesnar. McMahon allegedly tried to cut Grant off from her friends and isolate her, subjecting her to a pattern of cruel and degrading behavior. The claims were further supported by text messages between McMahon and Grant that revealed the nature of McMahon's sexual fantasies. This disturbing pattern of behavior included alleged assaults, coercion, and manipulation, all of which were carried out under McMahon's watchful eye. The $7.5 million settlement, a coerced sexual encounter. Among the many settlements revealed during the investigation, one particularly disturbing case involved a former WWE wrestler who claimed that McMahon had forced her into performing oral sex in exchange for a contract renewal. After she rejected McMahon's advances, she was demoted and her contract was not renewed. In 2018, she and her lawyer negotiated a $7.5 million settlement in exchange for a non-disclosure agreement. The fact that the settlement came years after the incident and was part of a series of settlements designed to silence victims highlights McMahon's continued use of his power and wealth to avoid accountability. The wrestler's case is particularly troubling because it explicitly described the sexual encounter as coerced, implying that McMahon used his position to force her into unwanted sexual acts. The settlement not only serves as a financial barrier to justice, but also underscores the systemic culture of silence and cover-ups within WWE during McMahon's reign. WWE's culture of silence and complicity. The numerous settlements and allegations against McMahon paint a picture of a man who has used his immense power within WWE to manipulate, control, and exploit those around him. Whether it was his role in the Jimmy Snuka cover-up, the sexual misconduct cases involving WWE employees, or his coercive relationships with female talent, McMahon's actions reflect a pattern of abuse that has been hidden behind WWE's success. McMahon's control over WWE extended far beyond the wrestling ring. He ran the company with an iron fist, micromanaging everything from storylines to talent relations. This level of control, coupled with his unchecked power, created an environment where abuse could thrive without consequences. WWE's culture of silence allowed McMahon to act with impunity, knowing that his wealth and influence would shield him from accountability. The Netflix documentary, A Distorted Picture of Vince McMahon. The Netflix documentary, Mr. McMahon, attempts to shed light on the life and career of Vince McMahon, providing an overview of his rise to power, the creation of WWE, and the controversies that have surrounded him. However, many critics have argued that the series offers a distorted view of McMahon's life, focusing too much on his public persona and not enough on the darker aspects of his legacy. In an interview prior to the release of the documentary, McMahon himself criticized the series for its portrayal of him. He claimed that the documentary conflated his on-screen character with his true self and misrepresented his actions. McMahon's defense of his image is unsurprising, given the allegations that have surfaced over the years. However, the documentary's failure to fully address the extent of McMahon's misdeeds speaks to a larger issue within WWE and the entertainment industry as a whole, one that prioritizes protecting powerful individuals over holding them accountable for their actions. The Titan Gate Scandal. Sexual misconduct allegations. By 1992, WWE was already reeling from the steroid scandal when it found itself facing another major controversy, a series of sexual misconduct allegations that would come to be known as Titan Gate. This scandal involved key WWE figures, including Pat Patterson, who was the head of wrestling operations, Terry Garvin, a top official in the company, and Mel Phillips, a ring announcer and crew chief. The allegations centered around claims of sexual harassment, abuse, and inappropriate relationships between these men and the young, vulnerable wrestlers they were supposed to be mentoring. As the investigation unfolded, it was revealed that Vince McMahon had turned a blind eye to the ongoing misconduct within his company. He was not only aware of the abuse happening behind the scenes, but it is alleged that he actively chose not to intervene, allowing the toxic culture to persist. McMahon's failure to act raised serious questions about his leadership and moral compass. The scandal deepened when Rita Chatterton, a former WWE referee, came forward in 1992 with accusations that Vince McMahon had raped her in 1986. Chatterton claimed that McMahon had invited her into his limo, where he forced himself on her twice before firing her when she tried to speak out. McMahon denied the allegations and later sued Chatterton for civil conspiracy, but dropped the lawsuit a year later. Chatterton's case was buried for nearly 3 decades, but the damage to McMahon's reputation was already done. In the years that followed, several other individuals came forward with similar allegations. But McMahon's immense wealth, power, and influence allowed him to keep these accusations from seeing the light of day. Despite the mounting evidence against him, McMahon continued to rise in the ranks of the wrestling world, seemingly unaffected by the growing number of legal and moral scandals surrounding him. Jimmy Snuka, the murder scandal. McMahon helped cover up one of the most chilling cover-ups in WWE history. Involves the case of legendary wrestler Jimmy Superfly Snuka. In 1983, Snuka was involved in the death of his girlfriend, Nancy Argentino. After an argument, Snuka allegedly attacked Argentino, causing her to suffer fatal injuries. The details of what happened that night remain murky, but a medical examiner's report later revealed that Argentino had suffered from multiple blunt force traumas to her head, suggesting that she had been beaten before her death. At the time of the incident, Snuka was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend, but when it came time for Argentino's family to press charges, Vince McMahon intervened. It was reported that McMahon spoke directly to Argentino's family, urging them not to pursue legal action against Snuka. The incident was swept under the rug, and Snuka's career continued, undisturbed. It wasn't until decades later that the case was reopened, and Snuka was charged with third-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter in 2015. By that time, Snuka's career had already been cemented, and he had been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1996. The fact that McMahon and WWE allowed Snuka to continue working for the company, despite the severity of the allegations, speaks volumes about the company's willingness to protect its stars at all costs, regardless of their personal transgressions. The 2006 tanning salon incident, another allegation of sexual misconduct. In 2006, Vince McMahon faced another sexual misconduct allegation, this time from a tanning salon employee in Boca Raton, Florida. According to the police report, McMahon allegedly showed the employee nude photos of himself without being asked, and then forcibly groped her. McMahon claimed that he was only trying to have some fun and that the encounter was consensual. The story quickly faded from the headlines, and McMahon did not face any charges for the incident. However, the police report, which was uncovered in 2018, revealed that officers believed there was probable cause to charge McMahon at the time. The fact that McMahon was able to avoid any legal consequences for this alleged assault speaks to the immense power and influence he wielded within the industry. Despite the disturbing nature of the allegation, McMahon's reputation remained largely intact, and he continued to lead WWE with little consequence for his actions. The 2022 scandal, sexual misconduct, harassment, and a cover-up. The most recent and damaging scandal to hit Vince McMahon occurred in 2022, when it was revealed that McMahon had paid a $3 million settlement to a former WWE employee, a paralegal who accused him of sexual misconduct. The settlement came to light after a series of anonymous emails were sent to WWE's board of directors, accusing McMahon of having a sexual relationship with the woman and then promoting her to a higher position. The scandal led to an investigation, and McMahon was forced to resign as executive chairman of WWE in July 2022. However, this was far from the end of the story. In January 2023, McMahon forced his way back onto WWE's board of directors and played a key role in the merger of WWE with UFC to form TK Group Holdings. By January 2024, more allegations surfaced, this time involving a woman named Janelle Grant, who filed a civil lawsuit against McMahon and WWE, accusing them of physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking. The lawsuit detailed how McMahon allegedly manipulated and coerced Grant into a sexual relationship, taking advantage of her emotional and financial vulnerability. The allegations also claimed that McMahon used his power within WWE to recruit other men for sexual encounters involving Grant. These allegations, combined with the earlier accusations, have painted a picture of McMahon as a man willing to exploit his position for personal gain, using his immense power to silence victims and cover up his misdeeds. The fact that McMahon was able to remain in power for so many years despite these allegations speaks to the systemic issues within WWE and the entertainment industry as a whole. The Netflix documentary, The Truth Behind the Image. The Netflix documentary Mr. McMahon offers an in-depth look at the life and career of Vince McMahon. While it covers many of the key moments in WWE history and McMahon's rise to power, it does not fully address the darker aspects of his legacy. The documentary offers a sanitized version of McMahon's story, focusing primarily on his business achievements and the public persona he cultivated. Despite the documentary's attempt to gloss over the more controversial elements of McMahon's life, the truth about his actions cannot be ignored. From sexual misconduct allegations to criminal cover-ups, McMahon's legacy is marked by a series of scandals that have been hidden from the public eye for decades. The Netflix series may provide a fascinating glimpse into McMahon's career, but it falls short of revealing the full extent of his wrongdoing. Conclusion: the truth behind the mask of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's legacy is one of both unprecedented success and profound controversy. While his contributions to the world of professional wrestling are undeniable, his actions behind the scenes have left a dark stain on his reputation. From sexual misconduct and coercion to cover-ups and settlements, McMahon's story is one of power, control, and manipulation. The release of Netflix's Mr. McMahon has provided a glimpse into the life of a man who built an empire, but it has also failed to fully address the darker truths that have been hidden for so long. As the investigations into McMahon's actions continue to unfold, it is clear that the true story of his career is far more complicated than the public has been led to believe. While McMahon may have built WWE into a global entertainment empire, his legacy will forever be tainted by the abuse and exploitation that occurred under his watch. The real story of Vince McMahon is one of darkness, manipulation, and a culture of silence, one that WWE and McMahon himself have worked tirelessly to keep hidden.